Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. I hope you're all good. Welcome back to this channel where we're discussing education, children's schooling, parenting, and all that has to do with the next generation. For me, this is a very important aspect of our lives because it talks to the future where some of us might not be there, but our children are going to be living in that future, and it may not be distant, it may be distant, but when I look at things now, the way things are happening, I believe that we need to invest in the future of our children in every aspect and in as many ways that we can, so that they have a better life. Our parents have worked so much. When I look at where my parents were, even as teachers, like I was saying in my first video, that both of them were teachers, where they were as parents, I am better off compared to them today. Maybe comparing, I'm not sure what, but I believe that they have placed me or given me an opportunity to live a better life than they did. So my hope is that I will do the same for my children. And I believe that that is our hope as parents. So we need to invest in every way that we can in the lives of our children. We are taking them to school. We are exposing them to different kinds of exposures so that they are well-rounded and they can navigate issues of this life and issues of the future better and be able to survive in the 21st century and beyond. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, I believe that this is going to be an exciting place to be. If you are interested in education, parenting, schooling, you have interest in children in general and their development, this is the place to be. So we're going to have engagements. I'm still struggling with my comments section. I hope very soon it will be sorted out. And as soon as you can comment, let us do that, and let us subscribe as well and invite our friends, our families to come on board so that we engage each other around these issues. Today I would like to talk about, I'm still continuing to talk about my life because I believe that storytelling is very important, and every one of us will find ourselves somehow in someone else's story. And I believe that as I am telling my own story around issues of growing up and education, you will find your place there. And our engagement and our discussions will spring from that. So today I would like to talk about my schooling as a child, and hopefully it will also speak to where our kids are today and what are the challenges. So for me, I grew up in a small village, and there was a school. My primary school was, about 2 kilometers from home, and we used to walk. I started school at 5 years old, and we would walk to the school. And I remember in particular in my grade 1 class, we had this elderly teacher. I think she was just about to retire, really. But I still remember some few things around that time. One thing that I remember is that we used to have these big pine trees in our school campus, and there are these cones that fall from the pine trees. So she would ask us to go and collect the cone the cones, and count them. So they were our counters as we were growing up. How interesting that is. Because today you have to go to the shop and buy the counters and help kids to count with. But here is the thing. Today, even though we live in a much better environment, we still find schools, whether be they in rural areas or townships or wherever they may be, where kids at grade 1 are not asked to count. And what happens is they are just asked to say numbers. They look at the board and they count the symbol 1, which actually is not the number itself. It's just a representative of the number 1. So if kids are not given an opportunity to count real objects, it means that their making sense of numbers is not solidified. It's not deeply embedded, in their understanding. So I believe that on this platform, I'm saying this so that if there are young parents here, you're coming on board, be careful. Ask your little child to count objects rather than just be excited that they can say 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Because those symbols, even if they can say them, if they can't correspond them with the actual object, it doesn't make sense. I would like you to make a little experiment for me. If you have a little one at home, buy Smarties or anything, any counters that you can use. I like Smarties because after they count, then they can enjoy them. So you just ask them to count the Smarties, and as they count them, let me know what you have experienced. I don't want to tell you what's going to happen there. Those little 5-year, 3-year-old, it depends what school they go to, because we do have yes, I was saying we still have schools where kids, they can actually have counters in the classrooms. Education has advanced so much that you have different props in mathematics that you can use, relevant for any topic from grade 1 up to grade 12. And there are schools who have invested in that so that they deepen the understanding of mathematics. And I'll actually be talking more about mathematics in the context of South Africa. I think I will have a special video where I'm going to dive deeper into the subject mathematics, because that's the area of my specialization, and I would like for us as parents, as society, as people to try and understand and find ways that we can empower our children in learning the subject much better, and empower our kids in the subject, because there are a lot of myths around the subject and we need to correct that. So as a teacher of mathematics, it's really my passion to ensure that we remove any misconceptions and myths around this issue with as much vigor as we can, because if we don't do that, we are going into a future where without mathematics, it's not going to be easy. Africa arising, we need to empower an African child in mathematics and science as gateway subjects into technology, because we know that technology is moving fast. So I'm talking to this issue, and I just want to talk in terms of stories, as I was saying. I don't want to dive deep into, complex educational terminology and all that, because we are not about that here. Here we are a community of people who are interested in making sure that our kids one day, have a better future than we had. I think every generation owes the previous generation to make itself better. Otherwise, um, it is a regression than a progression. So we want the, the next future to be in a better world than their parents. So I hope that we are on one board on that one. So, as I was saying, um, there are schools where the investments are made in counters and children are using them at school. But I want us to talk about in situations where these are not used, because they affect the fundamental uh, foundation, the foundational blocks of understanding the subject. I will obviously bring teachers in other subjects who can talk at issues. If you are maybe you are more interested in addressing certain issues, I know that language is a very important subject for every child, because if you have to learn maths, you learn it in English, you learn it in your own language. I know that in other countries, even in South Africa, it is encouraged that learners at an early age start learning in their own language, because you learn your language first before you learn everything. So when you then start learning other subjects, you learn them with that particular language. So, and it is a topic on its own. I'm not addressing that topic. So if you make comments, please just note that it is not a topic that we are addressing. So if you are interested for that topic to be addressed, it is on the way coming, and just give us time. So we're going to take things slowly here. Here we're going to talk about everything. So I was talking about my experiences at grade 1 as far as I can remember. And I'm so grateful about the teacher that I had at grade 1, who used combs, natural objects, things that were just falling from the tree, to help us count, and we could make sense of numbers in a better way. So that for me, it was one of the fundamental things in my education, and I just want to appreciate teacher Pamutse. I still remember Mema Pamutse. A very elderly Nkhono at that time, but teachers, we don't call them Nkhono. We don't call teachers Nkhono. Give Mem Pamutse, no matter how old she is. But at that time, she was a valuable asset in our school, because experience is something. You can have knowledge, but having applied that knowledge in different contexts is also another thing. So experience also plays a very big role. And what Mem Pamutse played in my life around the mathematics, I stand to thank her for that. And I'm sending tribute. If anyone from that family knows her, may her soul rest in peace. And we thank God that she made it on this earth. And there are people like us today whose lives were touched by her. I remember even outside the learning of the subjects themselves, Mem Pamutse, if you would insult another child, of course I wouldn't insult. I come from a home where I wouldn't insult. Insults is a language we never had. My father was a principal of course, and my parents, you know, they were church people, so no, there was no way I was gonna insult. But if you happened to insult another child, Mem Pamutsa will ask you to go to the tap and go wash your tongue. She will ask you to wash that tongue. And these are some of the things that we have seen with the teachers of our time. They were very particular about developing a holistic child. So whilst they are, you know, developing you in the areas of subjects, but they were also very cognizant of the fact that you are a holistic being. Your morals, your character are going to, you know, mold you into the person that you will be as an adult. So thank you again, Mem Pamute, for that washing of the tongue exercise. It worked. It worked. I don't like insults. I hate insults with everything that I have. Yeah, just that was just by the way. Now, I want to wrap up this video by saying, hey, come on board. Let us engage one another. Let us talk about education, parenting, schooling our children. How are we preparing them to survive in the 21st century and be better people than we are today? With that, I will say bye-bye. See you next time. And bring more people on board.